Good morning, everyone. We will now begin the morning service of the Miroku Association headquarters, asking God and Meishu-sama to protect and bless us as we participate today in the construction of paradise on earth. Amatsu-Norito and Miroku prayer, please stand. 高天原にかむずまります。かむろぎかむろみのみこともちて、それみおやかむいざなぎのみことはつぶしのぎむかのたちあなのほどのあわぎはらにみそぎはらいたもむときになりませる。はらいの神たちもろもろのまがごと積みけがれを洗いたまえ清めたまえとまおすことのよしをあまつかみくにつかみやおよろずの神たちともに雨の淵駒の耳振り立ててきこしめせとかしこみもまおす弥勒を三神守りたまえ先はえたまえ弥勒を三神守りたまえ先はえたまえ教えみよや主の神守りたまえ先はえたまえ教えみよや主の神守りたまえ先はえたまえかんながらたまちはえませ。かんながらたまちはえませ。Great God of light, creator and giver of all life.
In accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light, so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan. Please be seated. We will now receive group Johrei. Obrigado, Meishu-sama. God bless you.
Johrei is now concluded. We will now listen to a reading from Meishu-sama's teaching. God's love. How mysterious and wondrous it is. All our prayers are answered. When our requests are right, virtuous, and sincere, the true power to save the world rests with God. Let us pray, deeply pray, to the great God of light. Some things that seem good, even right, through human eyes, may not be so in the sight of God. Let us remain humble and discreet. People often fervently pray to God to save their lives or cure their illness. God's reply may be to remind them that such fervent and urgent prayer done repeatedly implies they don't have much trust in Him. God's blessings aren't dependent on the performance or frequency of one's act or supplication or faithful affirmation. He knows we are dependent on Him and He will take care of us. God's love for humanity is so great and so profound that people can receive limitless blessings and protection as long as they open themselves up to receiving such blessings. When people put enough trust in God and leave the matter in God's hands, God never fails to help them. If we detach ourselves from undue ego, worries, and attachment and leave the outcome to God, it is easier for God to extend a helping hand. Since God is all powerful and omnipotent, God can do anything. But if a person isn't in a condition to receive God's help, there is little God can do. If someone wants to receive it, that person only needs to become worthy of God's help through a changing faith, attitude, and behavior.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning service of the Miroku Association headquarters. In our prayers today, as usual, we included the victims of COVID-19, their families, friends, and acquaintances, also the recent man-made and natural disasters we became aware of, such as the Surfside building collapse in Florida, the mudslides near Atami, Japan, the heat wave affecting the whole northwest of the North America, the floods in Germany and Belgium, and there are so many others, but we will continue our prayers for the victims and those around them. Today I would like to share two faith experiences. One is from Brazil, one is from Italy. I will start with the one from Brazil. This experience from Edneide Alves. She's from Bahia. Edneide is 43 years old, and since she was 18, she has suffered from degenerative wear and tear on her spine and fibromyalgia. She felt intense and uninterrupted pains throughout her body, which during the strongest crisis prevented her from standing up. She used high doses of analgesics and corticosteroids. However, the effects were only temporary. Several times she stopped at the emergency room of hospitals, where she even took morphine. Even so, the pains did not subside. Time passed, and she became increasingly unhappy. At 20 years old,
She had depressive symptoms. The nights were not peaceful, and she slept on average only 2 hours a night. So, in addition to pain medications, she began taking antidepressants and tranquilizers. Given the situation, her home environment was troubled, where fights and arguments were constant, especially with her mother, with whom she couldn't maintain a good relationship. No longer supporting so much suffering, she always asked God what was her purpose in this world, since the only thing she knew was to feel pain and feel inferior to anyone else. In September 2019, she received a visit from a Johrei friend, precisely at the time of a crisis of physical pain and inner revolt. This friend talked to her about Johrei and experiences of faith. Edinaide interrupted her and asked her to channel Johrei right away, as she didn't pay further attention to her words and he was so anxious to know what it would feel like not experiencing pain. When she began receiving Johrei, her body burned like a brazen charcoal, and relief reached her soul. It was magical and immediate. After her friend left, she researched about Meishu-sama on the internet. She found a video about Meishu-sama's life, watched it, and began to cry. She felt that her prayers had been answered and that she had found a way to be happy. Deeply moved, she told herself, I was born to become a Johrei member. 3 days later, she visited the Johrei Center, talked to the minister, who guided her to receive Johrei daily and reflect on her feelings. Initially, she only focused on her pain, but realized that there were many feelings that needed to be analyzed. She began treating her mother with more gratitude and affection, listening to her and giving her more attention. By receiving Johrei on a daily basis, in the first week her pains disappeared, and strangely, she stopped feeling them. In addition, she began to sleep whole nights through, which she couldn't have for years. Thus, she stopped using the sleep medications as they simply weren't needed anymore. After 30 consecutive days of receiving Johrei, she participated in the cleaning dedication in preparation for that year's ancestors' service. She participated from the beginning to the end of the dedication and didn't feel any pain. The following week, she got a job. Before, she had been unemployed for almost 2 years and had lots of debts. Faced with so many miracles, she strongly desired to become a Johrei member and was blessed to receive the sacred focal point of Hikari in November 2019. Nowadays, her health condition is great in all aspects. The relationship with her mother is getting better, and her home has become a paradise-like environment. Her desire is to live to serve God and Meishu-sama, bringing the divine light to others and leading them to the path of salvation and happiness, just as her friend did to her. Her desire is to live to serve God and Meishu-sama. Again, thank you very much. So that was a great experience from Edinaide from Bahia. And the faith experience from Italy that I would like to share, it is from Fabio Sala. Fabio Sala is happily sharing with us about his experience lived at the sacred grounds of Guarapiranga in Brazil. He's a salesman and IT technician. Because of that, he has contact with many people of all walks of life. Despite the problems caused by his submissive nature and the inability to evaluate people's real intentions, he continued to carry out his work with professionalism, sincerity, honesty, and fairness. Due to personal problems and evening, he unloaded all his tension and anger while driving, as he normally would do. He then had a terrible accident against a rock at the speed of 125 miles per hour, thus ending up in a coma and resulting in multiple fractures throughout his body, especially in his face. He lost the sense of smell and the sight in his left eye. After 7 months in the hospital, He lived for about a year with his daughter, to whom he owes every respect for all the help given by her in those very delicate post-hospital moments. After about 6 months, he received an email from a Brazilian friend whom he met in Italy during a business trip of hers many years earlier. She still remembered and thought of him. He decided to contact her, and shortly thereafter, their love blossomed as if by magic. Today, she's Fabio's wife. According to him, a unique, special, sweet, and above all, concrete and sincere woman who has represented and still represents salvation for him. Living by her side, he started a new life, and he wanted to emphasize a real new life. Exciting, happy, clean, and everything that can be said about a very special woman. Even if their relationship is like everyone else, in which they argue and discuss the normal day-to-day things, past experiences gave them the strength to face all situations united with harmony and serenity. One day, Fabio's wife asked him to take her to the Johrei center of Bergamo. He accepted without problems and drove her there. This continued for about 3 months, until one day he decided to enter the church and listen to the words of the minister, which intrigued and sparked his interest. Then his wife left for Brazil for family reasons, and he took a chance of being alone to have a private meeting with the minister. He felt that the minister was very correct and professional in explaining the Johrei principles to him. The minister, Carlos Lucio, made absolutely no attempt to indoctrinate him and limited to showing him Meishu-sama's teachings based on real facts. The seriousness and spiritual strength that the minister emanated in his explanations and the messages of the monthly services from time to time explained all Fabio's doubts that had been not answered for years. He felt so good that without even realizing, he was becoming a Johrei member. His whole existence was changing and moving in the name of God. While life continued with its problems and everyday difficulties, he began to realize that the only way to the salvation of humanity is paradise on earth. He thought of not being able to achieve this because it's a divine project too much above his humble strength, but he could make sure that through his experience, his belief, and his respect for our church, then everyone he knew could enjoy this opportunity. Thereafter, he went to Brazil for the wedding of his wife's daughters. He had never been in Brazil before. Upon visiting, he was enchanted by the beauty of that country and its people. People with a strong belief, whatever the religion they adhere to, and who show great respect to others. After a 2-day stay in Rio de Janeiro, he met Minister Carmine, an Italian who has lived for many years in Brazil, another exceptional person with whom he now feels particularly spiritually attached. The minister told Fabio that he was organizing a pilgrimage group trip to Guarapiranga Sacred Grounds and asked Fabio if he wanted to join the group. It was Fabio's wish, but he thought it was not feasible for the short time of his stay and the little money he had. His reply was, "Oh, yes, I would like to, but..." In 2 seconds, the minister was already on the phone with the Sacred Grounds staff and let them know of the arrival with the group of one of his brothers named Fabio, although he had known Fabio for just an hour. So putting 2 pieces of clothing in his bag, the minister took Fabio and accompanied him to the starting point of the trip in a small, very welcoming Johrei center, and from there they departed. During the journey, the only recurring thought was to arrive at the sacred grounds and thank for all the beauty he had in life. His health, a wife who loves him, 4 adorable children, and 2 future sons, but above all, to thank for the strength he had, which was given by his ancestors, so he could always continue on the right path and overcome his problems by continuously helping others. When he arrived at the sacred grounds, a sublime image appeared in front of him, a pure, candid, wonderful place. He couldn't express himself in words what he felt, but he highly recommends to anyone, believers or not, to visit. He dedicated it with his travel companions by being in service and prayer. He met many good and nice people and bonded with everyone. But the thing that interested him most was being able to find himself in front of the altar alone and prostrate himself before it as a sign of thanks. And this happened on the evening of his birthday. He saw some people making prayer requests, but in Fabio's case, he just raised his prayer and without asking anything, he thanked for everything in his life. Upon his return to Rio de Janeiro, his loved ones were waiting for him, and upon his arrival, his wife immediately said to him, "What happened? Your face looks different." He replied, "Oh, nothing, my love. I feel fine." "Oh, I see," she answered, and then asked him with curiosity of what really had happened. Fabio answered, as he always do to her questions about his beliefs, that is, that they are his things, not because he doesn't believe in her or doesn't trust her, but because his belief is his own, and he didn't want to be conditioned in becoming a Johrei member to please her or anybody else. The next morning, he realized that his left eye was watering. He went to the restroom, and after washing his face, he realized that from that eye, he could see how it was when it was once healthy. He got scared, but then he thought, "God, you are great. I did not ask you anything. And look what you did for me. I was fine even before. I was satisfied with how I was, and there was no need to give me this further proof. In any case, I thank you, and I'm grateful to you." For this, Fabio says to everyone, do not ask to get, but appreciate for what you have gotten, and so you will have what you want. In my previous personal experience, I always asked for it and never got anything. To conclude, his relationship with our church has not changed, nor his way of life, but he has been giving confirmation of the answers he was looking for. He doesn't know if he managed to make himself understood, because his explanations are as long as life is long. But he is sure that everything that happens to us physically is the consequence of what we are spiritually, a sum of ancestors where we are all brothers and sisters. Fabio is thankful for the path that has been shown to him in this moment of life. He renews his commitment to become a good Johrei member and be utilized as an instrument for the dissemination of Johrei and the teachings of God in Meishu-sama. So that was very nice experience from Fabio Sala, Bergamo, Italy. I want to thank you very much for listening to these experiences. I want to wish you a wonderful Saturday, wonderful weekend. Thank you very much.
This brings to a conclusion of our morning service. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and have a blessed day. Your live video has ended. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's nice weather. Yeah, very nice. We need air conditioning. It's very breeze. Very good. Did you like it?
Passa. Tem passagem, tudo, né? É verdade. É verdade, mas vale a pena, hein? Ô, Thiago, a Manuela. Deixa eu aí, mãe. Bom dia.
Bom dia. Estou deixando. Tudo bem com todos vocês aí? Todo mundo bem?
Graças a Deus.
Eu já estou deixando já o altar já preparado para você colocar no spotlight, para já ficarem aí, né, com a imagem do altar, né? Deixa eu. Eu acho que agora tá.
Botei como spotlight.
Tá. E pode deixar que depois eu tiro do mudo, viu? Que temos aqui o pessoal, os membros aqui, aí para. Ok. Alguma. Tá tudo bem, ministra Célia? Demais, tá tudo bem? Tá joia. Então, eu vou lá me preparar, pegar o meu Joshô, já, para até daqui a pouquinho.
Até daqui a pouco.
Tá bom? Ok.
Mas era só deixar a porta do teu quarto. Depois o papai. Tá aberto? Eu já botei no mudo, mas eu vou botar, porque agora a gente vai pegar agora para escutar. Agora vai dar para você escutar.
Fiquei sozinho, né?
Eu faço oração interna. Como eu faço? Eu mandei minha barriga de comer essa semana. 2 quilos. Eu não vou ver a barriga. Ah, é verdade. Você vai ver a minha ausência. Vou ficar procurando. Ela tem uma super pra eu levantar. Gente, só notícia.
Isso que a gente faz.
A tia tá não me preocupa, mas. Você leva o ensinamento aqui. Eu vou ler o ensinamento? Bota no mundo aí também. Vou botar no mundo também, vou deixar no mundo. Eu vou ler em voz alta. Se quiser, bota o segundo, quer? Bom. Simone. Yeah. I come always to no. Because we came 1 year before to stay because they sent him
our daughters is 15 to 14 that time, and the 17, and high school, and then the middle, the elementary school, and I have to stay because they are. Where? No, I don't know. Oh, yes, Santiago Street, Santiago Street.
You also next to that?
I miss my friends because I need to work, you know, nothing. I never think I need so, I love you, Robbie. When I think about Florida, I remember my friend in Lisbon, but it's no come back. I like it. Yeah. So, you're welcome. Oh, they have a life. They have a life video, life video.
Tiago, você está me escutando? Você está me escutando? Eu não estou escutando.
Eu estou no mudo porque eu estou lendo ensinamento para treinar. Mas eu
não estou escutando. Agora está bom.
Eu estava no mudo. Eu estou no que eu estou vendo.
Tem que avisar as pessoas, né, cara? Elas vão entrar e não vão te ouvir.
Eu vou tirar minha câmera. Eu vou tirar minha câmera então.
Não, mas a gente, porque é o seguinte, quando a gente entra, a gente sempre vai.
Lá na baixa está todo mundo ouvindo a gente aqui, ó.
Eu sei.
Você acha que a mamãe queria? Eu também acho. Mas é que ela estava querendo te alertar.
Thank you very much.
Eu vou tirar minha câmera aqui para o pessoal não ver minha boca se mexendo e achar que eu que não estou me ouvindo.
Tá bom.
Já volto.
Tchau.
Okay. Essa paz nos inspira, Meishu-sama. Eleva a calma, a alma da gente. Mão que se estende atrás ou na frente, recurso além desse chão. Deixa jogar o Johrei pelo ar, só precisa parar e sentir. Tudo mudar na leveza que dá nessa nave fazendo luzir. Essa chama que me ama, essa paz nos guia, Meishu-sama. Essa chama que me ama, essa paz nos divina, Meishu-sama. Mão que levanta e canta, eleva a calma, a alma da gente. Mão que se estende atrás ou na frente, depois além desse chão. Deixa jorrar o Johrei pelo ar, só precisa parar e sentir. Tudo mudar na leveza que dá nessa nave fazendo luzir. Essa chama que me ama, essa paz nos divina, Meishu-sama. Essa chama que me ama, essa paz nos divina, Meishu-sama. 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 Meishu-sama.
A todos que estão participando online, sejam bem-vindos ao culto mensal de agradecimento no mês de junho de 2021, Miroku Association USA, Atlanta Johrei Group. Oração de abertura.
Ó Deus, Senhor e Criador do universo, que estás assentado neste altar, perante vós, em profunda reverência, elevamos esta oração. Neste significativo dia em que realizamos solenemente o culto mensal de agradecimento, reunimos-nos à vossa presença e depositamos as oferendas para manifestar do fundo do coração o nosso sentimento de gratidão pelas constantes bênçãos e proteção que nos tendes concedido. Receba nossa gratidão pelos inúmeros milagres que recebemos, que nos permitiram compreender nossa missão, aprofundar e solidificar a nossa fé. Gratos pela permissão de participar da grandiosa obra de salvação do mundo, nos comprometemos a dedicar cada vez mais na concretização da vossa excelsa vontade, centrados na diretriz, alicerçados nos sublimes ensinamentos e nas atitudes de Meishu-sama, vamos edificar uma fé sólida e altruísta. O servir sincero, dedicado à salvação da humanidade e à construção do paraíso terrestre, é a nossa missão. Neste momento em que os povos vivenciam a insegurança e o sofrimento, advindo do desconhecimento da verdadeira causa das doenças e de sua solução, pedimos humildemente que a humanidade reconheça a vossa existência e receba força, coragem e sabedoria para ultrapassar essa grande purificação mundial que representa um nó, o início de uma nova etapa do nosso crescimento e evolução. Rogamos que aceitei esta oração e que, iluminados e guiados por vossa intensa luz, possamos somar expressivos méritos. Assim nos dirigimos humildemente.
Oração Amatsu-Norito, oração dos messiânicos e Miroku Prayer.
Taka-ama-hara ni kamuzu-marimasu. Kamurogi kamuromi no mikoto mochite. Sumemi oya kamu izanagi no mikoto. Tsukushi no gimuka no tachi hana no odo no ahagi hara ni misogi hara itamo utoki ni narimaseru. Araido no kamitachi moro moro no magagoto tsumi kegare o arai tamae kiyome tamae tomao sukoto no yoshi o Amatsu kami kunitsu kami ya oyorosu no kami tachi tomo ni Amen no fuchi koma no mimi furitatete. Hikoshime seto. Kashikomi mumaosu. Miroku o mikami. Mamori tamae saki hae tamae. Miroku o mikami. Mamori tamae saki hae tamae. Oshie miyoyan shin no kami. Mamori tamae saki hae tamae. Oshie miyoyan shin no kami. Mamori tamae saki hae tamae. Kom nagara tamachi haemase. Kom nagara tamachi haemase. Ó Supremo Deus, Criador e doador de toda a vida. Ó Supremo Deus, Criador e doador de toda a vida. Pela vossa divina vontade, a longa era da noite chegou ao fim. Estais liberando vossa luz para vivermos a gloriosa nova era a que a humanidade há muito veio aspirando. Agradecemos por nos guiar ao vosso plano. Agradecemos o privilégio de receber e ministrar a vossa luz. Sejam o nosso espírito e corpo iluminados e purificados, e que possamos viver a verdade que nos concedestes por intermédio de Meishu-sama. Fazei-nos veículos puros da vossa poderosa luz, abençoando aqueles com quem estivermos. Possa o vosso plano ser concretizado e que a paz, a saúde e a prosperidade se tornem realidade. Grandioso Deus da luz, abençoai-nos e protegei-nos, dando expansão radiante às nossas almas, assim seja. Miroku Prayer. Great God of light, creator and giver of all life, in accordance with your divine will, the long age of night draws to an end. Your radiant divine light, shining ever more brilliantly, awakens the dawn of the glorious age of light, a time long awaited by all humanity. We thank you for guiding us to your divine plan and for the privilege of channeling and receiving Johrei. May our spirits and bodies be illuminated and purified as we live your truth, given to us by Meishu-sama. Make us pure and effective instruments of your divine light, so that we may serve you and all those with whom we come in contact. May paradise on earth be realized with health, peace, and prosperity, a reality in our lives. Great God of light, bless and protect us. Radiate our souls with your divine light so that we may truly become instruments of your great plan.
Por favor, queira sentar-se. receberemos Johrei.
May God e Meishu-sama bless you. Graças a Deus e Meishu-sama.
Término do Johrei. Leitura de ensinamento de Meishu-sama. O caráter dependente dos japoneses. Ao se observar os japoneses da atualidade, nota-se seu alto grau de dependência. Em escala maior, na esfera do governo, constata-se sua condição de sujeição comercial em relação aos demais países. As empresas privadas alardeiam a necessidade de subsídios por parte do governo ou de auxílio financeiro do Banco do Japão. Os médios e pequenos empresários, por sua vez, afirmam que sem os empréstimos bancários irão à falência. Entre as pessoas em geral, há aquelas que não conseguem viver sem obter empréstimos de parentes e conhecidos, e também as que não estudam sem a ajuda dos pais. Além disso, existem os desempregados, as viúvas e as divorciadas, que vivem na dependência da ajuda do governo, bem como da assistência de organizações sociais. Assim sendo, onde quer que se observe, parece que nada é possível realizar sem a ajuda de terceiros. Consequentemente, não podemos deixar de nos assustar com o caráter dependente dos japoneses. Só podemos pensar que a causa fundamental dessa dependência é o fato de a população ainda não ter se libertado do fortes laços do feudalismo. No passado, grande parte do povo era constituída pelas classes dos samurais, dos comerciantes e dos artesãos. A classe dos samurais vivia chefia dos salários pagos pelos senhores feudais. Com exceção de alguns poucos proprietários mais abastados, os comerciantes em geral, apesar dos baixos salários, tinham a vida garantida por até dezenas de anos. Caso o empregado do comércio desejasse tornar-se independente e abrir uma loja própria, era costume o patrão permitir àquele usar o nome do seu estabelecimento e até partilhar a clientela. Os trabalhadores não tinham direito de formar associações, como ocorre na atualidade, e por isso viviam graças aos negócios feitos por senhores feudais, ou à ajuda dos patrões comerciantes. A maioria das pessoas, portanto, não desfrutava da independência nem da igualdade. Dependia do auxílio dos mais poderosos e não possuía direito à vida. Uma vez que essa situação se estendeu por vários séculos, é perfeitamente justificável a dificuldade do japonês libertar-se desse espírito de dependência. As mulheres, ao chegarem à mocidade, uma vez que não havia nenhuma profissão direcionada a elas, ao contrário de hoje, não tinham alternativa senão depender dos pais. E uma vez casadas, deviam prestar obediência absoluta à família do marido, como se fosse sua família. Além disso, desobedecer às ordens do esposo ou da sogra era tido como trair os deveres de esposa, tornando a situação insuportável. As mulheres estavam, pois, numa situação semelhante às das parteiras, que não conseguem manter-se vivas se não estiverem apoiadas em algo firme. Nos Estados Unidos, a situação é muito diferente. Podemos compreender o porquê, analisando a história de sua formação. No começo do século XVII, centenas de puritanos na Inglaterra emigraram para a América, praticamente em mãos vazias. Desbravaram as montanhas e os campos desabitados e, com coragem e esforço, conseguiram construir em pouco mais de 200 anos a grande e brilhante nação civilizada que temos atualmente. Por essa razão, é inevitável a diferença de pensamento entre americanos e japoneses. Mesmo que quisessem, por maiores que fossem as dificuldades, aqueles não tinham em quem buscar apoio nem pedir ajuda, a não ser confiar na própria força, ou seja, depender de si mesmos. O único recurso era produzir algo a partir do nada. É por esse motivo que sinto grande admiração pelos americanos. Uma vez que o povo japonês levou golpes tão duros, caso exista a intenção de reconstruir o país, mais do que qualquer outra coisa, é preciso que se espere no espírito desbravador do povo americano. Estou certo de que a adoção desse pensamento será muito mais eficaz que a introdução de capital estrangeiro, pois, observando do ponto de vista da verdade de que o espírito domina a matéria, esse procedimento seria fundamental. Entretanto, posso dizer que entre os líderes do Japão, quase ninguém percebe isso. No que diz respeito aos meios de comunicação, a mensagem que eles passam até incentiva mais o espírito de dependência. Talvez minha fala seja extremista, mas a dependência é um sentimento covarde, que busca a comiseração e a compaixão das pessoas. Ademais, quando as exigências não são aceitas conforme os seus desejos, as pessoas se queixam, e as insatisfações vêm uma após a outra. Por fim, com a ajuda de terceiros, insurgem-se e tentam derrubar o oponente, até mesmo de forma hostil. Parece que não percebem que, em consequência disso, mais tarde eles é que cairão. Portanto, creio que não há tolice maior. Podemos dizer que, com esse procedimento, não só se torna difícil a reconstrução do Japão, como também surgem dúvidas quanto à possibilidade de manter até a situação atual. Sintetizando, gostaria de alertar que não há outro meio mais eficiente a não ser a eliminação, de uma vez por todas, do espírito de dependência do povo. Jornal Kyusei, número 55, 25 de março de 1950. Palavras da ministra.
Obrigado.
Obrigado, ministra. Bom dia. Palavras da ministra Sérgio.
Você vai tirar de lá do Thiago?
Atirei.
Ah, tá. É que eu tô vendo. Bom dia. Obrigada a todos vocês. Mais uma vez, nós estamos juntos aqui. Antes de começar a falar, eu gostaria que vocês olhassem, vissem um vídeo que o Johrei vai passar. Ele é curto, mas, por favor, prestem atenção no que o rapaz vai falar aí. E a gente volta a falar daqui a pouco, tá bom?
Quantas gerações dormem dentro de um sonho? Seus bisavós, avós, seus pais, e às vezes são tantas que nem você desperta mais. Mas um sonho não é um bastão de frustrações hereditárias, por mais que hajam opiniões contrárias. Do you know how much of your wax you've built up over the years? Recent studies show that standard cotton swabs are